In the last video, we talked about variables and the various data types that we'll be using when coding in C#. Building on that, it would be really easy to understand what an array is. You already know that every variable has a data type, and also that a variable is like a container that can contain a value of that defined data type. Now, arrays can be thought of as a crate in which these container-like variables that have the same data type are placed, and then that crate is given a name. Going back to the RPG analogy that we have been using since the series started, think about the numerous NPCs in the game and you having to store the names of those NPCs. Now, let's say that you don't have any knowledge of arrays and you only know what a variable is. Then you would probably declare and set values to these variables like this: private string underscore npc1 equal to Zane, private string underscore npc2 equal to Connor, private string underscore npc3 equal to Delilah, and so on. And if you don't know what an array is, then this is completely fine. But you might also have noticed that doing it like this is quite redundant. If you look at this piece of code and use a little brain, you will know two things. First, you will know that all these three variables contain the name of NPCs in the game. And second, all these three variables have the same data type, that is string. So let's solve this redundancy and declare an array for this scenario by typing private string opening square bracket closing square bracket underscore npc names equal to new string opening square bracket 3 closing square bracket opening curly brace Zane, comma, Connor, comma, Delilah, closing curly brace, semicolon. Now, to some of you, this would have made complete sense, while some of you might be thinking, VP, what sort of chimera monstrosity have you created? Well, let's break this little monster down to pieces and understand the syntax. First, as you already know, is the access modifier. Then we have the data type of the variable, but as you can see, we have a pair of opening and closing square brackets right after the data type. This pair of opening and closing square brackets is what is used to signify that we are creating an array, and the data type before the brackets will be the data type of this defined array. Next is equal to space new space string opening square bracket 3 closing square bracket, which is just basically saying that make a new array of type string that has 3 members inside it at index 0, 1 and 2. You can replace 3, which is the size of the array, with any whole number, and you can even use a variable which has a whole number data type as an argument in place of 3. After that, we have everything inside the curly braces, which is a setting value to our array: Zane at index 0, Connor at index 1, and Delilah at index 2. Remember, an array and most things in programming start from 0 and not at 1. This means that the first element of the array, in this case Zane, is stored at the 0th index of the NPC names array and not at the first index. In this piece of code, we have declared and initialized the array all in one line. But most of the time, you will not be doing it like this, and instead, you will probably be separating them into multiple steps like this: private string array underscore town locations, and then inside the start method, int total locations in game equal to 2, then underscore town locations equal to new string opening square bracket total locations in game closing square bracket, and after that underscore town location 0 equal to dragon cave underscore town locations 1 equal to mayor's house, and after that debug.log index 0 colon underscore town location 0 debug.log index 1 colon underscore town locations 1. Here, as you can see, this is where we are declaring the array. After that, in the start method, we are initializing the declared array using an int variable as argument, and then we are setting values dragon cave at the 0th index and mayor's house at the first index of the underscore town locations array. The two debug.logs are what we use to log anything in the Unity console when we are working with Unity. What we want to log is the data that is stored in the underscore town locations array at the 0th index, that is underscore town locations array opening square bracket 0 closing square bracket, and in the first index, which is underscore town locations opening square bracket 1 closing square bracket. What we expect from this piece of code is that when we compile and run it in the Unity console, it will show index 0 colon dragon cave index 1 colon mayor's house. This will mean that we have successfully declared, initialized, and assigned values to underscore town locations array. Now let's go to Unity and check the logs in the Unity console so that you start getting used to working in Unity as you move forward in the series. Finally, for the first time in the series, we are inside Unity. I'm currently using Unity 2019.4, which is the latest LTS build. For now, I'm not going to talk about Unity at all. All you need to know right now is that this is the console where we'll be able to see all our debug.logs. I've already set up everything. All we need to do is press on play to execute the code. And here we have our logs: index 0, dragon cave, index 1, mayor's house. Great, so we at least know that I've not been wasting your time. Coming back to the code, you can use the same syntax that you use for setting values to overwrite a value at a certain index. For example, if you want to overwrite the 0th index that right now contains dragon cave and change it to lake house, you can do it like _town locations opening square bracket 0 closing square bracket equal to lake house. And then let's debug.log its value like this: debug.log index 0 change to _town locations opening square bracket 0 closing square bracket. And now back in Unity, let's press on play again. And voila, index 0 dragon cave, index 1 mayor's house, index 0 change to lake house. Now let's talk about how to find the size of an array. This is something that you need to know because you would be using this quite extensively when working with loops. So to find the size of _npc names array and _town locations array and then log it inside the Unity console, you need to type debug.log total npcs plus _npc names.length and then debug.log total town locations plus _town locations.length. Going back to Unity, let's press on play and see the logs. As you can see, _npc names.length returned 3 and _town locations.length returned 2, which is the expected output. Moving forward, there is one final thing I want to cover before wrapping this video up, and that is one of the most common errors that you will encounter when working with arrays. So let's generate an error intentionally by typing debug.log name of the third location plus _town locations opening square bracket 2 closing square bracket. Now this statement should give us an error because when we initialized the _town locations array, we stated that it only has 2 members. And now we are trying to access the second index, which is the third member of the array, which does not exist. Back in Unity, let's press play. And as you can see, we have a big red exclamation mark. It says index out of range exception and also tells you more detail about where this error originated from. Now, let me explain what's going on. If you try to read a value at an index that is greater than the size of the array -1, then you will get a runtime error saying that index was outside the bounds of the array, which is basically programming lingo for your program saying that, dude, where's the array? There ain't nothing there. This type of errors are what we call runtime errors, and they happen when the program is running. They can't be caught by the compiler when you're compiling the code, and will only be noticed when you are running the program and things start going downhill. To stop getting this error, all I can say is you are trying to access something that doesn't exist, and that means that there is some logical error on your part when you wrote the code. Just remember that an array starts at 0 and the last element of an array is at the size of the array -1. Well folks, that does it for today's video. There is more to arrays than what I've shown in this video, like multidimensional arrays and jagged arrays, but those are things that I consider to be at the intermediate level. So in the future, when we start on the intermediate series, we'll revisit this topic. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Do comment below if you have any doubts or if you just want to share your thoughts. And as always, if you see someone struggling down in the comment section, do try and help them. Goodbye for now. This is your host VP signing off.